Welcome back to the Coach's Hour. You're here with myself, him, and my co-host Jawade, and we're joined by, as always, our very special guest, Ant. So I want to start by asking you all a really big favor. As of recording, we currently have 250 plays, so that's 250 times someone could have stopped and gone, oh, you know what? Let me leave you guys a review. And currently, we have two. One is probably from me, and the other is most likely Jawade. So podcasting is a funny business. We create content, but there's no real way of us knowing if you enjoy this or not. So please leave us a little review if you're enjoying it, and that's your way of telling us in Morse code, hey guys, we appreciate you. It doesn't take long. So with that out of the way, today we're going to be diving into the topic every PT wants to avoid until it punches them in the face. Late cancellations, last minute drop-offs, can I pause coaching, and all the weird and quirky stuff that makes you question whether you should quit and maybe be a business mentor instead. So
sense of the end.
Yeah, we're going to talk about boundaries, messaging, charging fees, and why most coaches turn into complete, flip-floppers the second a client says, "Sorry, hun." So yeah, let's start with coaches and boundaries.
Can I just say, I done my intro expecting some weird and wonderful intro from you. If you do the most normal one.
If you release this one first as well,
it might be a bit easier.
Yeah,
but it would make you look like a right mug.
I know where you're at now. Yeah. So where are we starting now? Sorry.
We're going to start with, I guess, boundaries, right? I think I get a lot of this from my coaches that come to me right now. That they always say, they've got trouble with clients doing late cancels. Should I charge them? Should I not? Why do you think coaches struggle to enforce these boundaries so much?
So can we, if you're comfortable, can we start with your story? Because I think that will be a nice jump off.
Yes.
Because it's a good example, I think.
Yeah. So this wasn't a coaching service. This was another service.
What was it?
What?
It was OnlyFans.
No.
I cancel my subscription.
No.
Sorry, hun.
This was for counselling. This was counselling service. You shouldn't have such personal questions.
Sorry.
No, this was for counselling, which I'm a fan of, and I think people should do. It's really useful to do. But a big thing with anything like cancellation policies or anything like that, it's expectation management. It's always expectation management. So somebody signs into coaching with myself for one-to-one, there is a 24-hour cancellation period, right? Somebody signs into online coaching, there is a month cancellation period. And it's just purely for, letting you know more than anything, and to protect our income. That's why we have those things in place. I didn't sign anything. There was no contract. And I cancelled a session and then got charged for that session, but I cancelled the session with more than 24 hours notice. So I got charged for this. So I obviously queried it. And then the response was just, you get charged for the sessions that you don't have, which exactly is the right face. It doesn't make sense.
So do you not get charged for the sessions that you do have?
Exactly, right. So I was trying to understand. I was like, so I messaged and said, is there a time period for cancellation where it becomes okay to cancel and not get charged? Because I understand sometimes I would understand if you were charging to hold the session. I get that. So if you're, okay, I'm going to have it, Monday at 4 every Monday, that becomes your session. Now, if it's written in a contract and agreed upon that whether you turn up to that or you don't turn up to that, you get charged for that. I'm okay with it because it's written down and I've agreed to that. But there was no contract. There was no discussion around it. It was just, that's when your appointment is.
This is kind of where they gaslight you a bit, because they're like, nah, it's about how you're thinking about it.
But it's just, it's like,
the whole mindset thing.
I just don't understand. So then I got confused, and I was like, but the thing was, I now can't see a future, right?
Yeah.
So
trust is not there.
Exactly, right? So now, because this person wanted to charge me for a session that I'd cancelled with enough notice, I slept on it and then decided, well, I don't want this service anymore. I don't want this service. And especially something like that can be quite intimate, like counselling, because you're going to go and talk to this person about stuff. There needs to be a level of trust there. So now I don't want the service. so I'm going to cancel it. So I did cancel it without 24 hours notice. And that was that. So and there was no more. I paid for the sessions that I'd had and for the one that I'd missed. But I also ended up canceling the next one with like 6 hours notice, which I obviously didn't get charged for. And then that person's lost out on income for ever from me, because I'm never going to go back to that service now.
You're not going to refer anyone either.
And I'm not going to refer anyone to that service, right? So if that was me on the other side of it, the way to handle that is, that's my fault for not explaining the process. That's my fault for not explaining how this works. So we're going to let that one slide. Here's how it is moving forward. How does that sound? Because once you break the trust with once the bump in the trust is there, because I wouldn't say it's broken, but once the bump is there, you either stabilize that or it goes south. It's one or the other. And
I'm surprised you paid for it.
Well, that's the thing.
Because if you knew that you were going to go already, you're like, fuck this.
Well, I was quite conflicted. I was like, I don't really know what to do here. I don't know. I don't feel like I should pay for this. Mm-hmm. And then because I then cancelled with like 6 hours notice, I was like, okay, I'm going to make this. I'm going to basically split this one payment across these 2 sessions that I haven't gone to, and that's how I'm going to be okay with it. Yeah. That's how I feel right with it. If I was in a different headspace, I'd have gone, well, I'm just going to pay for the sessions that I had, and that's that. I didn't sign anything. You can't do anything, and I'd have been fine. But I think it just settled my. Yeah. Maybe it gave me a slight moral high ground in my head.
I get a lot of coaches, like especially that I've mentored in the past, and they've ended, and they're like, it's 30 days notice. And, do you mind if I don't do my 30 days? And depending on 9 times out of 10, I'll be like, do you know what? But I'll be upset, but I'll be like, just because I'm not invested anymore either. Mm. So like, yes, the income, I would like that for another 30 days, but I don't really want to turn up for a call every week.
That doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, if they've got the outcome they want to and it ends amicably, that's fine. But there's been times where it's been like not amicable, and it's like, I don't want more 30 days. But then I've watched them spend the last 6 months moaning about clients that do exactly the same thing to them. And I'm like, do you not see, I said, I will cancel it, but do you not see how when your clients cancel with you, how that makes you feel? And you've just thought it's okay to do the same thing to me. Mm. And that's exactly why you are where you are. And that's why when you said, I honoured it, I'd honour it as well. Just because I know how it feels to be in the reverse of that position where someone cancels, and regardless of whether their trust is broken or not, I don't want to put someone else in that position because it feels shitty. And I'm just like, and it feels shitty, but I call people out. Like, respectfully, I'll be like, well, this is you are a reflection of what people do to you. Like, because what you don't like, what you've done exactly the same thing to me. Mm. And I'm not going to charge, I could, because I've got it in writing that you've signed and agreed to. So I'm well within my rights to not cancel your subscription for the next 30 days. Take that money, we'll dispute it if you would like to, and I'll probably win that dispute. But I'm not going to give you the energy. Wish you all the best.
Yeah, well, I think that's fair. Like, if you know it's not going to be if there's no productivity to having those conversations any longer.
Yeah, and and of course there's context. Like, it depends how it ends, because for me sometimes, like, if someone says that and I'm like, I'm going to enforce it. If I'm not invested, I'm not giving 100%, which means the half an hour, however long it is, I'm better off spent doing something else.
For sure.
So, and that goes on to the next point, which is always get terms and conditions in writing. Like 100%. Like, I've had it a couple of times with clients that haven't got their terms and conditions. I've had a client cancel. What do? Where's your terms and conditions? I don't have any. You write that off, mate. That's your loss.
Yeah, well, that's it, and it's just an expensive lesson.
Yeah. But it's just terms and conditions isn't really like a legal. It's more like you're just setting, the standard there, right, with people, and you're letting them know what the expectation is and the clarity behind it. That's really what it is. I think a lot of the times we think that terms and conditions is, this is a big thing, it's a legal thing. Yeah. But it's just so that you don't get into these kind of positions, right? You don't put yourself in that position. It's really clear to say, look, this is what's going to happen when XYZ happens, right?
It's just managing it's writing out the expectation. Because I don't know how strong that would be. I mean, no one's going to go to court for that. I believe
some
it would stand.
Some business mentors have done.
Do you?
A high profile once apologised on public on Instagram. Because
there wasn't there?
It was chasing people down for their agreements, took them to court, and then I'm not sure why. I'm not sure who called him out from to apologize, but it was like, I've been reflecting how I acted for that period of time. There are some people. It was one guy called him out because they were going through, like, I think, a family bereavement, and that blew up.
Yeah.
And I think he just got peppered from every angle, like, why are you chasing this guy for money, kind of thing. And then months later, it was come out and apologize. So I think it was upholdable within the law of court because that person had signed a contract. But ethically, the guy probably shouldn't have just let that one go.
What happens, like, let's say we're not looking at this coaching business, right? We're looking at, like, in terms of, like, your phone contract or something.
Yeah, they can take you to court.
Whether or not you have someone dying in your family, it's still, they still charge you for that, right?
But that's where the ethical thing comes into it, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think coaches struggle to enforce, or why do you think they feel weird about charging people for? Because I always think it's always at the coach's discretion.
I think it's the friendliness. So, like, when it comes to personal training, right, we work with a client. It's very personal. You develop a friendship, right?
It's almost like personal training.
Yeah, weird, isn't it? Who'd have thought? Anyway, but yeah, because it's so personal, it's like,
it's great.
Yeah, it becomes almost like, should I be charging this person? Like, you know, it's really.
So I don't think I agree with the friendliness. I think that's where
that's where it comes from.
Yeah, the boundaries get blurred, right? Between this is a professional business relationship that has become a friendship, but there's an underlying business relationship here. And then I think it's a thing of fear, right? So codependency in any relationship is not a good thing. We talked about this. We were really fortunate to present in Scotland a couple of weekends ago, whenever this comes out, for TCI, and we was talking about this relationship between client and coach, right? So a codependent relationship with client and coach, a client becomes dependent on a coach for an income and for some level of you're doing a great job, right? And then the client becomes reliant on the coach for maybe sympathy or something like that. So that's where people won't challenge their clients because they're feared of losing them, right? I can't have this income come out the door. And also, I think especially if you're a young coach, you probably you probably see that as personal rejection, right? So I know when I was younger, if I had a client cancel on me, it would hit me. I'd be like, fuck, I'm doing something wrong.
He hates me.
Right? But it hits you somewhere because you're like, oh, fuck, this is my fault. Whereas reality is, it's probably just the fact that, you know, they're no longer seeing the value out of that process anymore. So why would they carry on coaching? You know, if you looked at it really binary, that's what it is. But it always hits you a little bit personally. And I think when you're younger and you don't understand yourself yet and you haven't been through the process, you take it a bit more personally. So to avoid that rejection, if somebody cancels on you at last minute, rather than going, okay, that's fine, and just charging them because it's in your terms and conditions, you've agreed upon it, you let it slide because you don't want to give that person a reason to have any disdain towards you, right? Whereas the reality is, I think back to a client who I used to coach in person, who you coached for a few sessions while I was away, and he would always be late for me, never late for Jawade, always late for me. But whenever he would cancel, and he didn't have a lot of money, but whenever he would cancel, and it became relatively frequent at a point, he would always make a point of saying, of course, take for this session. Because there was a level of respect between myself and himself where it wasn't necessarily his fault, but he realized that just because he'd got called in,
kind of knows the consequences.
It shouldn't affect my income, right? And which then led to obviously a conversation about like these have become a bit frequent, which you totally should have at some point, and blah blah blah. And of course, if he messaged and was like, so he had a really bad day one time to do with something that we won't talk about, and I was like, that's fine. Like, I'm not going to charge you for this session. That's totally fine. It's at my discretion. But I think there's a level of respect that needs to be there. And if you're not enforcing that cancellation policy because you're feared of losing the client, that's the wrong reason to not enforce it.
Yeah. It needs to come from both sides, isn't it, that respect?
Totally.
I think
100%.
When it comes to you as a coach, obviously, yeah, you need to be respectful of certain things. But then also, I think for a mutual relationship to kind of work, that the client has to also be respectful of you as well, right?
Totally.
And maybe they don't necessarily see or understand the implications of what they're doing. So then it may be important for you to kind of tell them to say, look, when you don't come for your session, this is why I have to charge you, because blah, 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 because I don't have any income for that session. If you keep doing that, especially at a peak time, then
I can't fill that session.
Exactly.
And I think to caveat that as well, to give probably a different perspective, is the fact that a lot of personal trainers will feel they can't charge for missed sessions because their level of service is not at a place where it should be anyway. I.e., if I turn up late for 3 hours of my former client sessions and then they miss a session, I can't then say, I'm going to go and charge you for that
Got
session.
no leg to stand on.
Because hang on, whenever you're late, I don't say, give me the money back for that. And I think, or when you're on your phone, I don't say, mate, we're training here. Or when you're paying attention, talking to your mates in the gym when we're doing that session, I'm not saying X, Y, Z. And I think a lot of PTs, like, they're not at a standard where they're delivering sessions regularly to the point where they're faultless. And you don't have to be perfect, but you have to be at a level where when I say I'm charging for your session, you can't then say to me, oh, well, how about the time when that doesn't happen? Like, no client can say that to me because that doesn't happen.
Goes both ways. Right?
It's both ways, right? And I think for some PTs, that's probably one of the fears as well. It's like, hang on, I'm going to say perfect, even though we're not supposed. I'm not at that level where I can feel confident in pulling someone up because I could have been pulled up.
Too,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And if that is the case, then you have to be able to accept that. But rather than accept it, just bring your standard up.
That was my biggest motivator. I used to always because I knew that I'm going to charge people late cancels, right? If they, so I need to make sure no matter what, I am not late.
And also is being late, which I am, and I recognise it. Like I've never been late for a session.
No, you were always on time.
Anything outside of a session, I'm guaranteed to be 20, 30 minutes, however many minutes late. Anything personal, social, I'm 100% late. Anything session-wise, anything, like even the mentorship, I left out so early. I'm still late. Yeah. But like I've never missed a session. Touch wood, and I say touch wood, but like I put things in place to make sure that I am there half an hour before the session. And there was one time where I put something in place and I got there 5 minutes before the session and I left out with about 3 hours notice. And I was like, so sometimes when you're like, oh, why do I leave so early? That one time was like, that's why I leave so early. Do you know what I mean? And oftentimes, like, what do you do with every 2 hours when you get there? I'll just do work or I'm prepared for my session. Like, at no point, because I travel an hour to get to my work at the moment. So like, with traffic and train delays and everything else, I make sure that I'm there from a few hours before, just in case. And it's like, I think that's something that we should focus on, or a lot of PT should focus on, like give yourself that leg to stand on, because certain clients I know are going to cancel calls or miss sessions. I won't treat them any differently, but I'll make sure I'll put touch points in. So when they do cancel, it's like, see this message here. Yeah. Just please note you will be charged for the session. And like, do you know what I mean? And it's like, but I thought, no, terms and conditions. And then sometimes, like, it's funny because you said, like sometimes when people say to me, charge me that session, sometimes I won't. Like I had it the other week where a client doesn't miss many sessions. Someone in the family was ill, cancelled to look after someone that was ill. And then I said, because I do sessions on direct debit, so like I'll just take payment for this month. And I said, don't worry, I've adjusted the sessions for last month, that we've got one carried over. She didn't know what I was talking about. Yeah. And I was like, in that time where and she was like, no, of course not. I thought you charged me for that. Just charge me, no. And I was like, this is where I took the time to explain, you don't regularly miss sessions. I know I could do, but it was a circumstance out, like you wasn't getting your nails done, you wasn't getting your hair done. It was something that, do you know what I mean? It's something out of your control. So for this time, we'll carry it over and I'm not going to try. I'll take that time for myself. And I think, I'm not sure if they gave me enough time. I didn't leave out for work. It doesn't really matter. But then like, it's just reinforcing again. So like, when I do charge her, she knows, it's because I'm getting my nails done this time. So like, I think when you do charge them, let them know why. And then if you don't charge them, also let them know why as well. Because then that keeps that level, like transparency of, I didn't charge, how can you charge me last time? Because you were looking after X, Y, Z. This time around, you was hungover. Like there's a complete difference there.
One of my guys that used to work with at UP used to make clients bring in like sick notes. from the doctors.
The doctor.
I was like, when we used to see, he's like, what's the client?
What do you know?
I was like,
Branded
what's she-
sick notes.
Yeah, like,
You've got
because
three
you have to get it
letters,
from the
yeah.
doctors, right?
Yeah, yeah.
She said,
Oh, you mean actual sick notes?
Yeah,
Oh
not
my
like
gosh.
from your mum.
I thought you meant like written sick notes. Oh yeah, I'm ill today, mate.
He's like,
Derek's
they'll be
having
like, oh, I need
Derek's
to.
having his period again.
They'll be like, I need to cancel my session because I'm not feeling that great. And then the next session they come in, they'd have to bring in
Wow.
the letter. Yeah, I know. We used to laugh at him, but it worked for him
I was
because
gonna
it
say half
was.
respected.
Yeah, because sometimes it's a bit like people are people, right? People can take advantage of these things as well to say, oh, look, if he's just trusting me all the time, oh, I overslept today. I don't do it often, but I'm gonna try it, right? And for him, he was like, yeah, I ain't having any of that.
It's within the human condition to test the limit, right?
And
I think the perfect example of this, right? I thought about this the other day. The perfect example of this is when you get an EasyJet flight with just carry-on luggage, right? This is the perfect example.
Jet2 holiday.
Yeah, nothing beats a Jet2 holiday, right? They've got the allowance thing near the gate, right? And you've got two groups. You've got the people who work for EasyJet or whatever, who are trying to absolutely spy anybody who's a millimeter over, who can't fit in there, and they're going to charge you because they're going to get paid for it or whatever. And then you've got somebody on the other side who has crammed one of those things that they've got off Amazon to within an inch of its life, right? To get as much as they
Vacuum pack.
literally, and they're both playing the same game, right? They're both playing. It's how much can I get away with? How much can I push this boundary? This is the limit I've been set. How close to the edge can I get to it? I don't even need all this stuff. You're going away for one night, but how close?
That was me. I was the other guy. So I when I went to Worlds, right, for powerlifting, obviously I won the overall. I got these big trophies. They give you like random shit, right? Protein, whatever.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I travelled Ryanair, right?
Yeah.
I didn't realise like, oh, they only give you one kind of like one bag. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I had it, and they were like, and I was holding the trophy, right? Trophy's like that big. And they said, no, you're going to have to put that. And I was like, my bag's fucking stuffed.
Yeah.
I got a bag inside a bag.
Yeah.
So I was like, what do I do? I'm not, for whatever reason, I was thinking, I can't pay for this. Like, I'm not going to pay. I wore all my clothes.
Yeah.
I wore all my, I had, the powerlifting belt. I was wearing that. I was wearing a powerlifting belt.
Brace for impact, no problem.
I had like two jumpers on, had like shorts on, bottoms. I didn't wear my singlet, I don't think, but I had like the powerlifting belt. And then I put that thing in. And then when I got on the flight, I sat down. I was like, unbuckling. The guy next to you must be like, why does this guy need a lifting belt?
That's
like,
amazing. Wearing a lifting belt on a plane. That's incredible.
That's my.
I've done that though. If I'm going somewhere, I'll wear boots on the plane, boots and jeans on the plane.
Yeah,
because
the
they
heavy
take up
stuff,
too
right?
much way too much space in the bag. You got to play the smart. But yeah, I think it's. I think a lot of the cancellation culture. Listen to me.
Cancel culture.
A lot of the cancel culture, the fear around cancellation stems from because if you are, and I think if you are a younger coach listening or watching, if you have a dispute with a client about cancellation because you've enforced a cancellation policy that is in your terms and conditions, don't react emotionally to it. So don't email about it. Don't text about it. Voice note would be unadvised still, but if you're going to do any of those things, do it like that. The best advice, either get on a phone call or talk to them in person about it and just say, this is a matter that I think we need to speak about in person, because you get so charged over an email exchange or over a text message exchange, you can't read the other person and you've got no idea where they're coming from, right? I had it with a client recently who's a coach who had somebody cancel on them and they were going through this. And I just said, you just need to get them in a room and speak to them. You just need to talk to them because you're both now losing sight of what it is that you're actually talking about. And because the client who had cancelled on them was bringing up old examples of stuff. Oh, well, when this happened or when you do this or when that happens. And it's like now it's something in them is not feeling fulfilled or something like that. They feel attacked somewhere else. It's no longer about the cancellation because they're talking about something else now. So you need to get them in a room or just sit down with them and say, here's what's happening. And it just makes everything so much easier. And it's the thing that you don't want to do because you don't want to do the in-person conflict, but it won't be conflicting, right? It just needs to be understanding.
It's factual, right?
Exactly.
So we're speaking about this topic. We're not bringing anything else into it.
Here's what we're speaking about. Here's what's happened. Here are the facts. I'm not saying this with any tone. Like,
Well,
that's what it needs to be.
it is tone, because like the text message has lack of context.
Yeah.
So if I'm pissed off and I get a text message, I'm reading that as if the person that said it to me is pissed off.
Mood,
yeah, I'm reading my mood. And it's like sometimes that message wasn't sent in the way that I've read it or received it. And well, it was because that's how I've read it and received it, versus a conversation where I can look at someone's body language, I can look them in the eye. I can see, like, if someone says shut up, someone might be like, shut up. That's like different to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, it's two different things. But if it's a text message, I can take it either way. And either way is right, because that's the context that it was delivered to me in. So like, that's why I think conversations, and that's why personal training again is personal. And this is where your Loom check-ins aren't going to be as valuable as having a sit-down conversation face-to-face, or a Zoom phone call face-to-face, where you can actually get context to a client's messages and you can give context to your own messages. Because I find that so difficult when, like, I have a check-in that's written and then in my head I'm like, I'm going to respond to it like this. When I say to them, what did you mean by that? If I was doing a Loom recording, my response would have been invalid, because what they wrote was not what they meant.
Yeah.
And it was only the context afterwards from having that conversation that allowed me to respond appropriately.
So you before you were talking about letting people off, right, and having some. Do you think that kind of mixed behavior can also make it confusing for the client as well?
Yeah, and that's why I think you have to like tell them why. So like, even like when someone cancels within 24 hours, it's because you cancelled within 24 hours. If, for example, we let them off, it's because you don't normally cancel, and this was this specific reason that falls within this is an appropriate reason kind of thing. So like, when they do, so then next time if they cancel and they get charged for it, they'll know, this is because it doesn't fall within the reasons that are acceptable to me kind of thing. So as long as I've got context every step of the way, that's the most important thing. Like, because I could have, like with the client I was talking about I could have just sent the invoice without saying anything. And not even sent the invoice, I could have just taken the money without saying anything, and it would have been less than what they was expecting to pay. And they wouldn't have said anything. And then there was one that queried it. There's another one that queried it as well. And it was like, oh no, it's fine because X, Y, Z, and because you don't cancel all the time. There are people, like, if someone cancels 3 times, this is the 3rd time you've cancelled. I will be charged for the session because it's the 3rd time you've cancelled. And then in person, you cancel quite regularly. Do we need to reduce you from 3 to 2? Do we need to reduce you from 2 to 1?
Do we need to change the time?
Exactly. And then it's
Do
like,
you need to reduce you from 1 to no?
Yeah.
and that's a very serious conversation, because if someone's on 1 a week and they're not turning up, again, like, it's free money. No, it's not free money, because I'm sitting there every week waiting for that time to be blocked out. I'm not getting any value from not coaching anyone.
Yeah.
And they're not getting the result or outcome from me. So at that point, it's a conversation of, okay, then is this actually working? And I think, like, again, it comes back to conversations, because as long as they've got context as to why I'm charging them, we can then say, actually, 4 o'clock doesn't work for me. Okay, then next time, let's do it at 5 o'clock. And if you're late at 5, I'll still charge you. But at least we understand, like, it's a timing issue, or my dog was ill. Okay, cool. That probably won't happen again next week. We probably won't charge you for that one. So I think, like, as long as you've got context, yes, it can blur the lines, but if you're an open book, then it shouldn't really.
I think it's fair.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to add?
It was 2 minutes to the guy that's locking up. We're the last. So it's Sunday evening. The guy that's locking up is ready to kick us out. And he's
I can
talking
hear the
about
keys jangling behind.
He's got overtime. Man.
got his coat on, listening now. Like, I think his guy's done.
Got his coat on. Anything else? No.
I can hear the keys rattling.
We've got nothing else to add.
No. Do Norton.
Have you got a fancy outro? Because compared to the other episodes, the intro's a little bit
lackluster, wasn't it?
Yeah, he didn't really do your bit for this one,
I
did you?
know, right?
Trying to think on the
Wow, if
spot
that's
now,
the
aren't
energy
you?
coming into it, then
He's trying to think on the spot now, isn't he? Put him on the spot, yeah.
Your gusto is down.
I can see his screen has got nothing. It's got goodbye.
It's empty right now. It's
Not
goodbye.
even switched on. Ran out of battery ages ago.
It's goodbye.
He doesn't read, does he? It's a video playing.
It's all right, man. This is Chinese New Year. Next year.
It's always Chinese, isn't it?
Look, it's a mythical thing. Like, people don't really know when it is, so you can just say whatever.
Yeah.
Is that an excuse to cancel sessions? Like, because I'm going to use that next year.
Yeah.
Your appointment's due, mate. Nah, it's Chinese New Year.
Chinese
Chinese
Day
New
off.
Year, can't do that.
Day off, mate.
We're 2 weeks off for
Can't
Chinese New
record
Year.
in Chinese New Year.
Yeah.
Perfect. On that note,
On that note, happy Chinese New Year.
We've just taken our trees down. Chinese New Year.
Chinese New Year trees.
All right, so yeah, you can find us on Instagram. My handle is @gymwithhim, and my co-host is @JawaideGrahamCoach, and
Mine
our
is
special guest
Anthony_Barnes_coaching.
So we want to thank Ant for joining us once again. Is there anything else that you want to plug before?
Just as before, so if you're a younger coach or a more experienced coach and you're looking for education that's based in principle rather than method, then you want to come and check out the Coaching Initiative. It's a company myself and Jack Haig created after many decades in the industry and a lot of self-education, a lot of education invested in. It's something we're really proud of. So you should definitely check that out. And if you're looking for a coach to take you to the next level, then just drop me a DM. Not a cold one though. No cold DMs.
DMM.
And thank you to you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's been great.
Pleasure. Cool.
Sweet. Peace.